I've never done one of these before, and Jay says nobody ever does an anniversary of the day they got their law license. So, but I was thinking, so much time has passed, and I got to think about a lot of this when I wrote The Domino Effect a few years ago, and then last year I thought about the passage of time when I recalled that it was 40 years from the time that a few of us started the first gay law student association in the nation. And then all of a sudden, this was coming up, and I thought, 40 years. So, and to me, I was an activist and an agitator and an advocate and all of that all my life. I mean, my mother always knew, I guess, that I should be a lawyer, but I thought I was going to be a priest, then I was going to be a dentist, and finally, when I finally said law, she said, I knew it all along, You argued so well with your dad. So I thought, well, I could let this pass and just, go out to dinner or something, or we could take a trip to Hawaii or whatever.
Yeah, we should have.
Whenever I say Hawaii to Michael, then of course,
I'll get the suitcase.
He'll vote for that. But I thought, no, it'd be really nice to gather together some people from previous eras and cases and projects, and to just celebrate. I'm still here to celebrate, thank God. And, we've lost so many people over the years, prematurely and otherwise, and I hope that their spirit's here with us, many of the people, and probably they are. I know that Paula brought a magazine, and there was a pic today, and a picture of Lloyd Wriggler, and I said, I knew he'd wiggle his way in somehow to getting mentioned. So, but I really appreciate everybody coming, and there were people who, couldn't come. They first were supposed to, and then somebody died, and all of a sudden they're at a memorial today, and somebody else from the 70s, Jerry Garash, a very close friend of his, is in the process of dying, and he flew to another state to be with that person, and then all the things were happening with us. Michael's mother on 2 days ago was rushed to emergency and intensive care unit, and he was up there, and I was going to the airport to pick up my sister Diane. Both of us were going to go, but I said, you go be with your mother. And I said, to Michael, we don't know what's going to happen between the next 2 days, and I've had some medical issues the last 2 days, and I said, just get me through the weekend, and I'll be okay, no matter what, So it's just, people are born and they die, and there's weddings, and there's anniversaries, and there's birthdays, and there's all sorts of things that are happening today or all around the country. And fortunately, we're able to be here to just celebrate this moment in time, to reflect a little bit on the various things. And I said, boy, there could have been some more storyboards. I thought, one for condo associations. And then there could have been 3 or 4 of them for family and friends. And I said, no, but I don't want to remind people of some of those things. They might not want to remember those, those issues or the things that happened. So the idea today was to socialize, have a little bit of a program for people to recall some things and have some conversations with me. I'm going to invite Michael Valenti. It's a very close friend for many years, Dr. Michael Valenti. And I met him in 1973, so that's when it started. I mean, I met him a few months before I got my law license, and have been involved with him in very many ways. So I thought I'd like him to do an introduction of the program here, and also and then I'm going to invite a couple of people up, Jay Coleman, to come up and have a conversation with me. about whatever, I don't know where this is going. It isn't too often that I give up the driver's seat and let somebody else kind of steer, but that's what's happening today. So we'll see where this is all headed. And then Nora Valadarian will come up, have a conversation, then my sister Diane, and then if anybody else wants to say anything or share a story or embarrass me somehow, you know, this is your opportunity to do that. I wanted to also thank some of the people that helped pull this together. Darian Morea is with the Olympic Collection, and she and her staff have really put this together very well. This room I've actually been in once before with Nora. About 3 months ago, we had a round table of about 50 people involved in disability issues. We were doing a roundtable on disability and abuse, a survey that we did, the largest national survey ever. And we just, you know, like one of those things, well, let's put on a show. Okay, let's do it. So we did the largest, with no budget, nothing, you know, we did the largest survey on disability and abuse ever done, and then brought together experts to analyze where do we go from here, and that was in this room. And then I said, well, maybe we should have an event here. And they had us assigned to a different room. I didn't like it that much, but it was like, what can you do? And Nora said, think positive, think positive. So the people in this room canceled, and we got moved to this room. So, you know, it's amazing what can happen when you think positive. So I wanted to thank my spouse, Michael Vasquez, for helping with this event. And my sister, Diane Coleman Rogers, came in and helped with us with a number of things. Nora Valadarian, and is also going to have an after party for those who have the time to come, and there's directions to her place. It's just 5 minutes away, and come over and see her new patio and see her beautiful place and have some dessert or whatever if you have time to do that. And then also Dick Smith. Dick helped out with the event too, and I appreciate that very much. I've known him since 1976, and so those are the thank yous, why we're here, and I'm going to at this point turn it over to Michael Valenti to work his magic on the room and set the tone for the event, I guess, and then we'll take it from there.
Thank you, Charlie. Certainly a very nice, warm, welcoming speech. And I'm very, very happy to be here. It's pure joy for me. I used to be able to do this sort of thing without any assistance from a cheat sheet, but at age 76, I forget what I had for breakfast yesterday. So it's interesting. Tom invited me to do this, I guess, maybe about 4 or 5 weeks ago. And I did prepare 4.5 hours of and mentioned it to Tom, and he said, no, I meant 4.5 minutes. So it's kind of insulting, but you know. Interestingly enough, at the time that Tom invited me, I was looking over the Gettysburg Address because we were celebrating the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's delivery of that wonderful speech at Gettysburg. Very short, less than 300 words. An amazing thing. And as I was doing that, I realized, well, you know, Lincoln recalled the birth of our nation as a place of liberty, freedom, and equality. Liberty, equality, freedom, equality. And he talks in the speech. The speech has basically 3 major points to it, and that's it. And he speaks about the fact that, you know, we were engaged in a civil war at that time, and it was about freedom, it was about equality, it was about those things. And yet we were at war about these things. How can you be against freedom? How can you be against equality? Is a question that I ask, but we know that human beings seem to tend that way. Today we have over 40 wars going on all over the world, and we have people constantly trying to enslave others, and there is, of course, unfortunately, an enormous amount of human trafficking, human slavery. And that's just the way it is. Lincoln was recalling the fact that people had fought and died at Gettysburg in this struggle for freedom, for equality. And the lesson, I think, is that the fight is never ending. It's kind of unfortunate. It's never finished. You know, you start to build a building, it could take a month, it could take 20 years, but at some point it's finished. I'm thinking of Barcelona and the cathedral of the Holy Family, Sagrada Familia. I don't know if that will ever be finished, but it will. At some point it actually will. But the fight for freedom, the fight for equality is never ending. It will never be finished. The work is always unfinished. And the task, therefore, is always simply preservation of the freedoms that we have. And today, of course, we see them eroding in many parts of the world. But the task is always preservation of freedom, preservation of equality. And I have observed Tom for over 40 years. We've known each other over 40 years. And his work, as far as I'm concerned, has always been about personal freedom, personal choice, rights, the right to privacy, sense of equality, that we are all equal before the law. Whether we are, a minority member or not, we are supposedly equal before the law. Tom's work has been about freedom of choice. It's been about that equality before the law. And as I say, I've had the joy of knowing Tom for over 40 years, joy of knowing Michael for over 20 years. I had the great pleasure of officiating at their marriage ceremony back in, was it 81? That's a long time ago, 32 years. Well, okay. So for me today to be part of this gathering is an extraordinary privilege. Extraordinary privilege. I'm exhilarated at the opportunity to honor Tom. I'm so glad that all of you are here, because if you weren't here, I wouldn't have this privilege. So for all of you being here, thank you for the privilege. And Tom, you're the best.
So in thinking of the transition here from Michael Valenti to Jay Coleman is interesting because two of us were guinea pigs of Michael Valenti once. Michael Valenti, as a philosopher and someone that helps people transform themselves and their relationships, started something many years, I don't know how long, when was your first relation shop in New Jersey? He created a weekend experience, kind of like an Est-type weekend experience, that you came in on a Friday night, spent all day Saturday, spent all day Sunday, and it was about sex, love, and relationships, and kind of to try and be honest with yourself and who you were, and kind of learn your impediments, blockages, blind spots, and really open up in a transformative way. And the first one he gave had over 100 people take it. And Jay and I flew together from LA to Edison, New Jersey to take the first relation shop. And it was transformative. And I remember we were never supposed to tell about what happened in there. So I'm going to break my vow. I'm going to break it up and just give one of the exercises had a stage that a person would go up on the stage, and then the 100 people were lined up about 6 wide and then, all the way back. And you would then fall back onto the hands of the group. And you would just learn to be supported by people and to trust people, and also to learn the power of group action. And they would move you from one spot to the other, and then you would be gently put back down on the ground. And the whole weekend was just, it was miraculous. And I remember it was also just, it was so special to do something like that with Jay. Jay and I had been colleagues, and I met Jay in like 76 or something like that. Yeah, and we were both lawyers fighting the good fight against police oppression and so on. And, just worked together as colleagues, and we're friends too. And of course we had our own lives and all of that, but they intersected in certain ways, and that was one of them. And it was just a very, memorable experience. I think eventually your mom even got involved in a relationship once, and I brought people involved in it, and got Michael. It took 2 relationships. I took a second one. It took 2 of them for me to get the courage up to propose to Michael Vasquez. And finally I did, so thank God for the relationship. So anyway, I'd like to invite Jay to come up and to share, some experiences and memories and so on, and we'll see where it goes from here.